You like dragons? Imagine dragging these nuts across your forehead.
Welcome to the motherfucking lady. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. It would seem that even though they just fought for a second time, the business, as it were, between Frenchon Cruz and Claressa Shields is not finished. It's not over. Frenchon said, Claressa, I'm gonna let you have it. The Win guys begged my manager to bring me over because they wanted to apologize to me the whole time. I didn't know you and Pap were in the bathroom. After what happened, we didn't need to talk because you showed me where you're at. Why would I want to talk after what took place? You think I care about fashion when I'm coming to fight? Even on the relaxed vibe, my things were custom designer. You're so blinded by hate and think everything said that I don't like is hate. Oh yeah, that's a common theme with Claressa Shields. If you are not groveling at her feet, you must be a hater. What's Frenchon talking about? Well, remember that at the ceremonial weigh-in for the fight, things got nasty between the two teams and a brawl broke out. And I remember Frenchon saying that it was the people on Claressa's side that instigated the brawl deliberately while the cameras were rolling for the sake of content. They wanted something to shoot, something to record. Frenchon continued, Claressa, nothing about me is a loser, and we both know that. People make money to get out of the street, not bring the street to the money. The first presser, you literally ran out of the room full of your people into the hallway to hug me, and I hugged you back, even though we had to fight. You're a wild girl. Now what she is a phony baloney, trying to market herself now as a reality TV star / boxer, now that she's with Papoose, and she's got a foot in the door of the hip-hop space. She's trying to do a sort of love and hip-hop thing, but with boxing, Real Housewives of Atlanta. Frenchon continued saying, Claressa, the difference between you and I is when you tell the story, you are always the victim and the hero. When I tell it, it shows who's real and who's fake. We don't have to ever fight or talk. Just like I said, we are not friends because friends don't do the stupid shit you did and keep doing, Claressa. Please prove how I showed you who I was. I don't need validation from people I've never met. You want some quote-unquote baddies drama so bad, and that's not me, love. I haven't worked this hard this long to be doing this ghetto shit. I can't beat the media or her machine, but I've got the truth. What did I tell you? Claressa, now that she's with Papoose and has her foot in the door of the hip-hop space, is trying to market herself as one of those Housewives of Atlanta types. Just like you said in the ring, it's not me, etc. I'ma let you have it because I know I'm also not equipped to function on low frequency of hate and drama. I will just live in my truth and you live your life. Continue to tell these lies about me, being jealous, phony when they record, and whatever love you've got left knows that's a lie. You really out here trying to destroy my character over a boxing match. Our profession? I hope it was all worth it. Do you remember a long time ago I said that Claressa Shields doesn't actually have any friends because she can't be anybody's friend, even if some people think they're friends with her. She's a fucking sociopath. Frenchon continued, Claressa, real greatness doesn't involve all this foolishness, hatefulness, and ignorance that you're spewing, to which a Twitter user who goes by the name Tony Molino responded, she seems like the kind of person that will backstab you, to which Frenchon replied, already done. What really got my attention was when Frenchon said Katie and Amanda didn't have to do ghetto foolishness to put on great fights, to which Amanda herself responded, absolutely not. Keep your head up, champ. I remember seeing that the recorded attendance for the fight was around 18,000, which actually is a good number, so you can expect Claressa Shields to do more of this. More specifically, if they do make the Michaela Mayer fight, Michaela better watch her back, because Claressa's trying to be a reality TV star now. So, in the build-up of a fight with her, nobody from her side is going to keep things professional, keep things boxing. They're going to deliberately antagonize and fan the flame so they have something to record, something to shoot. What normally happens after two boxers face each other is oftentimes they settle up afterwards, and in some instances even become friends, where Frenchon and Claressa were already supposed to be friends going in. That friendship is now fractured, and I expect that the same thing could happen between Michaela and Claressa.
Because Claressa is not Michaela's friend. She's not anybody's friend, even if they think they're friends with her.
Which doesn't even make sense if Claressa Shields is now so comfortable boxing her acquaintances and her compatriots, what are supposed to be her friends, then why did she get so bent out of shape when Alicia wanted to fight her?
All she did was hold her to her word. Claressa Shields had been saying that she would be willing to come down to 147. Alicia said she would be willing to meet her, and Claressa got bent out of shape about it.
Now maybe it's because in some ways Alicia was holding her accountable that you keep talking about coming down to 147. I'll meet you there.
And Claressa didn't like that because Claressa doesn't like being challenged.
I think the moral of the story is that in Claressa Shields' pursuit of career advancement, the people who think they're close to her, the people who think they're friends with her, better guess again.
Better think it over.
That applies to Michaela specifically, who's claimed to be friends with Claressa Shields, who's now talking about fighting her. If that fight gets made, Michaela better watch her back. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, World Boxing News says Turkey's heel turn. Turki Alalshikh's relationship with promoters is now under scrutiny following a recent social media post, with TalkSport's Simon Jordan predicting disposable promoters seemingly coming into fruition. The Saudi-led operation is redefining who controls boxing's biggest nights. As Zuffa Boxing enters the fray, the traditional promoter model faces its greatest challenge yet.
Is that what Turki Alalshikh has become? Is he the heel? Is he the bad guy now? To Frank Warren, to Eddie Hearn, and the other game in town maybe, because he's going after what they built, what they have. So if he is now the adversary of someone, he is the adversary for them, but not necessarily for us, because I bring you back to the center, and I bring you back to the point, the one I've made several times already. If it were Frank Warren at the helm of the promotion for Fury's next fight, we would have to pay per view to see it.
The way it is, we don't have to pay anything extra because it's Zuffa promoting it, it's Turkey paying for it, and it's on Netflix. So I would call that a good thing for us, that if Turkey is the enemy of anyone, he's not the enemy of us.
And they might use that exact same structure for Canelo Alvarez's ring return in September, which I would also call a good thing because normally you have to pay per view to see Canelo.
Come September, we may not have to. So we're not caught in the crossfire of this thing. We just get to sit back and watch, and maybe to Frank and maybe to Eddie and the other game in town, maybe to them, Turkey is the heel now, the bad guy. Because of their competing interests and what they are. Turkey is invested in Zuffa and is helping them launch, helping to get that promotion off the ground. In doing so, he's working against the other promoters. But does this heel turn herald the end of the existing game in town? The legacy promoters, are their days numbered?
Not if the only thing you know how to do is spend Turkey's money.
And not if the only thing you know how to do is kick out vast sums of money for the work that somebody else put in, for a brand or a fighter that somebody else built, because that seems to be it. And at some point, it's gonna boil down to know-how, and you're gonna need to know how to build fighters of your own.
What they're doing now, they're relying on the work of Queensbury, on the work of Matchroom and the fighters that they built, the stars, and you can do that for a moment, but fighters rise and fall like the wheat.
Get Tyson Fury to go over there. Box on Netflix, promoted by Zuffa. Don't forget he's 37 years old. He ain't got that many years left to give to the sport of boxing.
Anthony Joshua doesn't either, because they're looking at him.
Maybe you can convince him to have that fight with Tyson Fury under your promotion on a platform of your choosing. Maybe you can, but that guy's got one foot halfway out the door anyway. That if all Zuffa knows how to do is spend Turkey's money, and all Turkey knows how to do is use fighters that somebody else built, well, at some point you're gonna run out of those fighters, and you're gonna need to be able to build fighters of your own, stars of your own.
No, I'm not saying that Zuffa Boxing can't be successful, because I believe they can, but this idea that they're going to come in and completely monopolize the sport,
that they're going to take over and run everybody else out of business, I don't see that. You have to wonder how Turkey's heel turn is going to affect his Ring Magazine and Riyadh season cards that have been largely reliant upon talent other people provided and other people built.
fighters that they developed. I don't imagine that Frank is going to continue to give him access to his stable, or Eddie for that matter.
Frank has filed suit against them, and Eddie Hearn is exploring that option himself.
Now, this in and of itself may not stop Turki Alalshikh from pursuing the fighters in their stable, but their contracts is what will determine whether or not they're available to participate on his shows. That's what those contracts are for.
Remember that before Anthony Joshua was able to cross over to Netflix to make a big score boxing Jake Paul, he needed DAZN and Matchroom's blessing. Just because he got it
Doesn't mean that's going to happen all the time.
and every time that happens, it's going to cost them. It's going to be expensive. People used to ask, how long do you think Turki will keep doing what he's been doing, working with all these promoters to put together these mega cards? Well, he's not doing that anymore 2 years into his boxing endeavor.
Now for a new question.
How long do you think it'll be before he stops doing that for Zuffa? How long do you think it'll take for Turki to get bored with this new toy? I'm not saying some strategy did not go into this, because it so clearly did, but sometimes Turki to me just seems like a kid playing with his toys.
Shaking the fishbowl.
He was happy to work with all the promotional outfits for a while to make some fights, some big ones. Then he got bored of doing that, and now he's doing this.
Shaking the fishbowl.
Turki's involvement, vast sums of cash in the PIF fund, does not guarantee success. Another one of their endeavors, the Saudi Pro League, is facing significant challenges this year, with reports indicating a decline in popularity, lower attendance, and reduced spending. Despite major 2023 investments, the league is grappling with player dissatisfaction, low global viewership, and a failed attempt to become a top-tier global football destination.
The fuck does football have to do with boxing?
That not every project the Saudis throw a truckload of money at succeeds in the long run. I will admit that the top brass at Zuffa is comprised of some very intelligent and successful people.
And I myself think they can be successful and carve out a space for themselves where they can thrive. But this idea that they're going to come into it with all of the Saudi money and monopolize the sport of boxing, run everybody else out of business.
I don't think so. I don't. Because at some point, it's all going to boil down to know-how. Dana doesn't know how to develop a boxer better than Eddie Hearn, better than Frank Warren. Nick Khan doesn't either.
And neither does Turki. He just knows how to pay them.
Pay the ones that he wants to use. And what happens when he runs out of fighters like that? What happens if you don't have access to Frank's stable or Eddie's stable the same way that you used to, Bob's?
Do you guys know the UK market better than Frank and Eddie? Do you know the American one?
Because at some point, this is all going to boil down to know-how. Who knows how to develop world-class boxers, and who doesn't? Who knows how to promote boxing?
How to sell it.
Who doesn't? We'll see how it shakes out. Men's middleweight news. Janibek Alimkhanuly issued a 6-month suspension by Kazakhstan Commission on top of the year suspension he already got from the WBO, who he's still a champion with. On the heels of receiving a sanctioning body-issued disciplinary action, Janibek Alimkhanuly was dealt an actual suspension by a presiding commission. Boxing Scene has confirmed that the Kazakhstan Professional Boxing Federation has issued a 6-month suspension to the unbeaten IBF WBO middleweight champion. The punishment is retroactive from last December 2nd, the point at which it was learned that Alimkhanuly tested positive for the banned substance meldonium.
Same thing that got the Wilder versus Povetkin fight canceled.
A positive drug test, as discovered from random drug testing contracted through VADA, resulted in Alimkhanuly being pulled from a December 6th 3-belt middleweight unification bout with WBA champion Arislandi Lara in San Antonio, Texas. He has remained on indefinite suspension by the Association of Boxing Commissions and was recently issued a 1-year ban from participating in any WBO-sanctioned bouts, but permitted to keep his title.
Still don't know what the IBF is going to do.
Because Alimkhanuly last fought in Kazakhstan, a knockout win over unbeaten Anouye Namasenge last April 5th in Astana, the local commission took control of the investigation. According to the final report, a copy of which was obtained by Boxing Scene, the KPBF determined that Alimkhanuly ingested the substance in question from an emergency medical visit last May 7th. Alimkhanuly reported suffering deteriorated health at which point his relatives sought immediate medical assistance at the Adam Clinic in his Almaty hometown. The clinic's official medical report documents the following: acute severe headache, nausea and vomiting, dizziness, transient bilateral visual disturbance, limb numbness, and chest pressure. The final diagnosis was that Alimkhanuly suffered a transient ischemic attack from a vertebrobasilar insufficiency. His condition was described as in need of urgent therapeutic intervention, which came with an assortment of prescribed medication. Among the administered substances was Rypronat, which is legal in Kazakhstan but contains meldonium. The medical intervention, including the administration of Rypronat, meldonium, was medically necessary, urgent, and professionally justified.
So they say.
The medical documentation submitted to the commission is legitimate, complete, and verifiable through the National Medical Registry. Alimkhanuly stated that the brand name Rypronat did not lead him to associate the product with the prohibited substance meldonium, which is more commonly known internationally through the other trademark name, Mildronate. It was this statement which prompted the 8-person commission panel to unanimously rule that Alimkhanuly was found negligent to a minimal degree and is suspended from professional boxing for 6 months, effective from the date of provisional suspension, December 2nd of last year. The ruling means Alimkhanuly cannot fight until June 2nd at the earliest. He is also required to undergo random testing at his own expense and produce clean samples in order to resume his career. For now, he will remain the WBO middleweight champion despite not being permitted to defend the belt until December 2nd, 2026. Boxing Scene has learned that IBF officials have received all pertinent information from the KPBF and are still reviewing the matter in full. It remains unclear when the New Jersey headquartered sanctioning body will make a final ruling. For now, the WBO has approved an interim title fight between Denzel Bentley and Andriy Saavedra. The bout will take place as part of the April 4th Deontay Wilder vs. Derek Chisora DAZN pay-per-view. Per the WBO's ruling, Alimkhanuly is required to face the winner in an immediate title consolidation bout upon his ring return. No exceptions will be granted.
So how does it work where the KPBF will allow Janibek Alimkhanuly to fight in June, at the earliest, where the WBO is saying he can't fight in any sanctioned bouts until December?
I think what that really means is that if he wants to fight as early as June, he can, but there may be consequences with the WBO that if he tries to, it may cost him the brown belt. Still no word on what's going to happen with the red one.
And I wondered about this. Was there anything unique about Janibek Alimkhanuly's case since the WBO had not yet stripped him? Anything exceptional?
And it would seem we have our answer. This is all the byproduct of a medical emergency. According to the commission in his country, if you want to, take it from them. They've produced the documentation, all the necessary paperwork.
It all checks out.
If you want to take it from them, but me being the old cynic that I am and not trusting anyone or anything, how hard would it be for Janibek Alimkhanuly to get some doctors over there to play ball, to cook up the documents he needs so he can stay a champion? I mean, how much would it really cost? Is that outside the realm of possibility?
If you out there watching this video want to take his story at face value, you can.
But I didn't climb up the ranks as director of the Federal Bureau of Investigations by taking things at face value. There's always more to a story.
You were the head of the FBI.
In Narnia I was for 23 years.